Another one of the characteristics that posed a little bit of a problem with categorizing them is, are they unicellular or multicellular? Meaning, are they made of one cell or are they made of more than one cell? Most of these protists are unicellular. So most of what we talk about are only going to be single celled. And one of our examples for a single celled organism is the amoeba. Paramecium is another one. And Plasmodium also is another one, the one that causes malaria. Now, some of these protists, they form what are called colonies. And this is where cells stick together. Single cells on their own are very vulnerable. They can be killed easily. So in order for strength and also to gain food, these cells will stick together. And sometimes you see them what looks like a long string of pearls. We talked about that when we were talking about bacteria. And it makes them a much larger entity than if they were on their own. One of your examples for a protist that does this is called Volvox, and we'll talk about him a little bit more after a while. Some protists are going to be multicellular and they're going to be very large. And when we talk about the largest of our protists, we are talking about the ones that are plant-like, and that's going to be our seaweeds. Seaweed and algae is single-celled, but seaweed is multicellular. And so when we get to brown algae, we've got red algae, we've got green algae. They're all categorized according to their pigments. They can grow very long in length. Many of you probably have seen the brown algae, which is commonly called kelp. And kelp is commonly found off the coast of California in what are called kelp beds. And they can grow as long as 60 meters. So we are going from, in this Protista kingdom, we are going from very tiny organisms that are microscopic all the way to seaweed. So you can see that they don't really have anything in common with each other. At least when we get to the plant kingdom, they all have true roots, stems, or leaves. They all carry out photosynthesis. They, all have the same type of body plan, but that's not the way protists are. So not only are some going to be unicellular and some are going to be multicellular, but they're all going to have different modes of nutrition. They're all going to have different modes of movement. So as we go through this PowerPoint, try to put them mentally or on paper. Stop these PowerPoints and write down or back them up exactly what their categories are, because there's many phyla in this particular, there's many classes in this and phylum in this particular kingdom. So it makes this kingdom a little bit different than the other ones. I think the other ones are easier to remember because at least they're all multicellular. They're all autotrophic. They're making their own food. They're all the same size. But with this one, when you've got organisms that are teeny tiny and you go all the way to seaweed, they tend to be all over the place. So that's why they had to find these ways to categorize them, and that's going to be, they're either going to be animal-like, plant-like, or fungus-like.